right, thank you so much. The program is still very much alive here, independent television, and of course, this morning on ITV. I did tell you that we are going to be looking at the policy documents of political parties as we approach the 2019 election. And right from this very day to the 16th of February 2019, it's less than 90 days. It's between 86 days, about 86 days or thereabouts, for us to have the first election in the series of elections that we're going to have in 2019. And of course, you know that the theme in our election, you know, has to do with our electorate, so to say. When we say the thing, we're talking about how can the electorate really be sure to elect, you know, the candidates, candidates that we answer to the yearnings. In this case now, we're talking about Nigerians as the electorate. And of course, we do know that PMB, that's President Muhammadu Buhari, had to launch his presidential campaign documents, which is titled Next Level, at, you know, very recently. And of course, at the event, he promised Nigerians that he will consolidate on his achievements if he's elected in next year's election. We're going to be seeing some items in that document so that we'll do further discussions, you know, you know, as we get on this program. But do also know that he has promised to revamp the education sector and also to start the Empower program for junior. You know, the Empower program has been on now, but it seems to be for those with tertiary education qualification. So one of his promises is that he's going to start for the juniors, maybe for the primary school education, education, qualification, and all that. And also, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar also launched his own campaign documents, and he titles the campaign documents People's Document, so to say. And of course, we are told that he promised to deliver within 7 years the items in the documents within 7 years. And he has prioritized in the documents job creation, human capital development, poverty eradication, and also development on infrastructure. And also, he has also promised to provide 3 million jobs annually if elected for the 2019 election. And it's also interesting to know that he also said that he will privatize the NNPC and also make sure that 4 major refineries, you know, are brought back in the country. He said he will lift 20 million Nigerians out of poverty in the 2025. That's after 2019 election. That's after 4 years in office. Well, for the 2019 election, there are some very important facts that Nigerians must bring to mind, even as we prepare for the election. We must know that the 2019 election will be the first since the last time an incumbent conceded defeat, talking about former President Goodluck Jonathan. And of course, this election will likely and mostly keenly be contested, you know, in the history, considered to be keenly contested in the political history of Nigeria because of the caliber of candidates that are involved in this election. And you must also know that in the election, we are going to be having 109 senatorial seats that are going to be contested for, and 360 House of Representatives to be contested for. And also, we've been promised by international community as approved by the European Union that they are going to make sure that they monitor the election. So we're going to be looking at some other concerns about the election and looking at all these policy documents and statements as released by political parties and their candidates. We're so privileged to have this morning 3 discussants. But with us here now we have Dr. Barrister C.U. Ekwu. He's a lecturer with the University of Benin from the Department of Public Administration, and of course he's a public affairs enthusiast. Sir, you're welcome to this program this morning on ITV.
Thank you.
We are expecting Bishop Bakhalame, and also we are expecting Mr. Ehi Igariwa to also join us as we progress, as we just go on this program this morning on ITV. Doctor, you're welcome one more time.
You're welcome too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Now, from the foregoing, what is your immediate reaction going by the two major political parties releasing their policy thrusts, their policy campaign documents for the forthcoming election?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. My immediate reaction is that we have seen them before. This is not happening the first time. What we are hearing now, they are not new as such. But the fact of the matter is that what can we make out of these promises? You know, ideally, political parties ought to be ought to have, apart from the manifesto, based on the principle of justice. You know, we would have what I call a manifesto. You know, stating what they tend to do when they get to elected positions.
They have manifestos. They have manifestos there.
And they have manifestos, but we have always had manifestos. But they're always in the breach, especially in the fact that they are not even heard or they are made accountable for those promises. You know, they are not justiciable. If tomorrow somebody will tell you want to tie your roads, want to provide social facilities, social amenities, at the end of the day they are not done. What do? You can't go to court to compel them to do such. And when they are not giving out the manifestos, they are not going to tell you, oh, we are not even sure of the financial resources there. As soon as they get there, they will tell you that they met empty treasury. What do? We have always had manifestos, but they have never been implemented or carried out to the letter. That has always been the problem.
Okay. Now, let us look at some other concerns, you know, that Nigerians have always had concerning election. Talking about the funds spent for election, as stipulated by the 2010 Electoral Act as amended, that no political party should spend more than 10 billion naira, 1 billion naira, I beg your pardon, for the presidential election. And of course, we'll have, let's just see now, I have the figures.
We have 1 billion that stated there?
Yeah, 1 billion.
Okay.
1 billion should not more than 1 billion should be spent for the presidential election. And of course, for the governorship election, we'll have 200 million. And the senatorial seat election, 40 million. And the House of Representatives, 20 million. House of Assembly, 10 million naira. Now, the problem has always been the tendency and at times the realization for political parties, the realization that at the end of the day, political parties spend more than the stipulated amounts by the Electoral Act. So how would you react to this?
Well, apart from even the figures you just mentioned, or you just stated, that is 90 days before the election. That's what is stipulated there. How much is spent by the different political parties or the people involved, that is those who are seeking elected positions, before, prior to that period, it's not even accounted for. So certainly the money is on the high side. You know, where will somebody get 10 billion to spend for that position as a president?
1 billion.
1 billion, for example. Yeah. Where will you get that money? Where will the money come from? So everything will be done if we want to have credible elections in Nigeria. Everything will be done to open the space, the political space for those who may not have as much. For those who don't have such money, how do they come in? That may be willing, desirous of giving the people the much needed developmental stride or facilities. How do we get such persons? How many persons in Nigeria today, how many Nigerians can afford that money, that amount that's needed to vie for the position of president?
When you say Nigerians, it's the political parties that, because when INEC talks about stipulated amounts and by the Electoral Act of the 2010 as amended, it is the political parties, not really an individual.
And even at that money is here on the high side. I know very well that it's not individuals that will provide it, it's the party that will provide the money to project their candidate. But even at that, it's still very on the high side to spend 1 billion. Although Nigeria is a very big and large country, I know that one for sure. But even then, we should not promote money democracy.
Okay.
And we should not monetize democracy in Nigeria. And let it be as the cost should be reduced to the barest minimum. whether it's the political party that provide the money, and that's why you find out that at the nomination level, they also charge very high exorbitant fee for any candidate who want to seek elected position. Because of the money we just mentioned now, they had to raise that money. How do they raise that money? By jacking up the amount to be paid by the various candidates. I'm sure you heard about the last process. Many people complained. You know, some were exploited even in the process of carrying out that exercise. So everything must be done to make sure the monetary aspect of it is reduced to the minimum.
Okay. Now, looking at the ongoing political space and political situations going on, do you see the possibility of another candidate emerging as the president comes 2019, other than the two major candidates, the PDP candidates and, of course, the APC's candidates?
Well, it is a possibility, although the chances may be slim, but it is possible. That is, if we have a genuine democratic system where people are allowed to play their role, you know, given it equal opportunities, you know, why not? And that would depend on the electorate. If at all the electorate will even have chances of voting for the persons of their choice. If we have the appropriate enabling environment, why not? It has happened in other countries, but I doubt whether that scenario can repeat itself in Nigeria. For example, this money bag issue. Where would that person come now to have the money, the enabling financial stuff to withstand these two candidates?
But why do you think our elections really depend on financial ability of political parties and perhaps of political candidates?
Because of our past experiences, what we have seen in the past, you know, you saw a situation where people were collecting money to vote for, against their conscience, vote for candidates they never actually went to the polling booth to vote for. At the polling booth, money was allowed to have changed hands. So under such a situation, where if you don't have the money, and being that the fact that Nigerians, the level of poverty is very high, so people can easily be coerced or maybe made to change their mind, you know, by voting for somebody different from the person they had in mind initially. So money plays a very important role in Nigeria politics because of the level of poverty and awareness. So people are very vulnerable, so they can easily influence the decision of the electorate.
Are you saying that the electorate are politically, they have the required political awareness? Because you say money play a major role because of poverty and awareness. So which of the awareness are we talking about now? We're talking about the high awareness or the low awareness?
The awareness I'm talking about that people need to be educated.
Okay.
As to their rights, what to do and not what to do. For example, it is very wrong for a voter or for a Nigeria for that matter to collect money, whatever it's worth, to vote for somebody they don't have his antecedent, they don't know what that person will go down and do, and you collect money to vote for such a person. If you collect 4,000 naira, the person, the political party or the person you collected that money for had paid you upfront. So if that person is going to be there for 4 years, he has given you 4 years, that 4,000 will carry you for the next 4 years. You want to train your children, you want to build houses, your building is being taken over by erosion. You cannot be seen to come out now to be complaining or telling the whole world that the government should come to your aid. Which government are you talking about? So okay. that is the guy in collecting money before you vote for a candidate. Okay. So we should actually vote for candidate we know very well. We have information, background information about such persons, and we know if they get there, they cannot compromise. That should be our guiding principle. Okay. Not collecting money and voting for people.
All right. The program is still this morning on ITV on independent television. We're looking at the 2019 election one more time, looking at manifestos and, of course, campaign policies of the political parties. Well, we'll take a short pause now. When we'll come back, we'll look at some other issues. Please stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
All right, thank you so much. One more time, the program this morning on ITV on independent television. And you're welcome back. Still on the topic, we are still looking at today, looking at the 2019 election, and of course, looking at party manifestos, policy documents, you know, that have just been released by some major political parties. But we're looking at the two major political parties, the PDP and, of course, the APC. Well, a new entrant has just joined us in this discussion today. Of course, he's Mr. Ehi Gariba, a one-time local government boss of Eko Local Government Council, a business expert, policy analyst, and of course a public affairs enthusiast. He's also a politician too, and he's a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Edo State here. So you're welcome to the program this morning on ITV.
Good morning, viewers.
Yeah, we're expecting also Bishop Akalame so that he can also join us on the program today. Now, sir, let me come to you. We are looking at two major policy documents this morning. The PDP's policy document, talking about four major four major items that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has talked about. And of course, the one that the APC released as launched a few days ago by the President, the next level policy documents of APC in this next election. Now, which of these campaign manifestos, policy documents, if you like now, the contents, you may have gone through them, which of them do you think can really heal the wounds of Nigeria, you know, as we prepare for the next election?
Well, obviously, the APC manifesto, you know, stroke agenda for the forthcoming tenure, should President Buhari be re-elected, seems to me, and obviously is the better one of the two, in the sense that, yes, we are experiencing a bit of a turbulent time, and in our nation as today, with regards to the socio-economic and even political situation. But all of this has been an accumulation of, you know, the backlog of years of misdeeds on the part of those who handled governance at the highest level, you know. When I'm talking of state, federal, and perhaps even local governments, you know. Now that a bit of stability is beginning to emerge, we are looking at like our critical infrastructures. We are seeing quite a lot of work being put into its renewal and modernization. Then you are looking at the security architecture, you know, and the work that has been put into trying to stabilize the insecurity in the Northwest. And we do know now that the bites has mainly been taken off the Boko Haram. And even with the headers crisis in the last couple of months, it hasn't been as, you know, bad as it was, which means there's light at the end of the tunnel. What that means is, if you do have an administration that is giving you a ray of hope, your best bet is to hang on in there with them, give them another shot. And the good news is President Buhari is not going to ask for a third tenure. So he's got 4 years to actually complete some of these projects and set Nigeria in the right, you know, perspective.
Yeah, you say. So I remember before 2015, this same President Muhammadu Buhari also, some people say that he promised Nigerians that he was not going to ask for a second tenure, and here we are.
Well, I don't know if that is on paper that he did say so. If, you know, there was particular reference, because I did follow the campaigns. I actually was a part of it. To my knowledge, I don't have access to that information that he did promise was going to run for a tenure. And again, what our minds are to be made up, and they can be changed. You know, if it's objective that you do so, you change your mind. You know, when you're subject to superior arguments, typically an objective person will change their mind. If people come to you and clamor for you to continue to stabilize a country that is in dire need of purposeful leadership with strong character, and people that to a large extent can be termed uncorrupt, it is important that we hang on to such people and let them drive the process towards Nigeria emancipation from the immediate past years of decadence.
Okay, the policy documents of the APC, your own party, has been titled the next level. For some politicians, they say that there's really no basis, no foundational basis for the present administration to continue. I mean, 4 years, almost 4 years down the road, issues of security is still there, issues of the economy is still there. issues of poverty, you know, they are still there. Issues of unemployment, issues of empowerment, human empowerment, capital empowerment, infrastructures, health-wise and all that, they are still there. So when you talk in this way that it has to continue, for some people, they see that there's really no basis for PMB to continue, as it were.
Well, let's not personalize issues and talk about PMB, President Buhari, as a person. You know, he, of course, symbolizes the apex of the APC, being the president of the country, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and of course, the numero uno leader of the APC. However, there are other substructures of leadership in the APC, which shows and what development has been going on. And therefore, if you go to certain APC states, there's been a lot of development on the one hand. Then secondly, and you know, perhaps more critically, if you are saying that President Buhari do not deserve a second tenure, that is to say the APC do not deserve a second tenure.
I'm not saying
no,
so.
No, that is the implication, because he is not going to run as an independent candidate. But however, can you just oppose that against people who had all of 16 years to run this country? They had 4 tenures, and they are hoping to come back, and they put us in these dire straits that we are in. And so if they had 4 tenures to run their government and led us nowhere, then you expect that someone who's gotten 1 tenure should, by the same stretch of argument, be given a second tenure to complete his own programs, because they got all of 4 tenures. So that argument is neither here nor there, if you ask me.
All right, TV. I did tell you that we're expecting Bishop Akhalame, and is with us here now, and you must, Bishop Akhalame was the governorship candidate for PDC, and as we speak now, that was in the 2016 governorship election in Edo State. And of course, as we speak now, he's the state coordinator, Think Atiku 2019 organization. Bishop, you're welcome to This Morning on ITV.
Thank you very much, Unohoge. Yeah. Good morning, viewers.
And of course, your own party, the PDP. Bishop, you were the candidate for APC, for PDC. You've left the PDC.
No.
So how come you have this?
Thank you very much, Unohoge. You see, I am still in People for Democratic Change PDC. I am partnerly with Alhaji Abubakar Atiku on this project. Because you see, I'm a very consistent Nigerian, a patriotic one for that matter. I want the best for this country. I want Nigeria to move forward. I want Nigeria to be the best in Africa. Because we were described as the giant of Africa. But what is happening today, God knows, things have gone out of proportion. Nothing is working anymore. The economy of the country is in comatose.
Okay, just hold on that.
No, I'm trying to tell you.
I just asked the question.
No, I'm coming. I want to tell you so that those who listen to me don't know where I'm going. So when I see Alhaji Abubakar Atiku, I see a man who has what it takes to take us away from this wilderness of penury. So we are in partnership. In progress.
Okay, before you came, we were looking at the possibility. Mr. Ehigariwa was trying to let us know the possibility of the APC's candidates, President Muhammad Buhari, to be able to, you know, lift Nigerians from the quagmire, so to say, that some people think or say that we find ourselves today. Now, your own candidate, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has launched a 4-point agenda. And of course, he centers it on job creation, human capital development, poverty eradication, infrastructure, and he has also said that he will privatize the NNPC if voted into power in 2019. Yeah. And of course, make sure that 4 major refineries, they work. Yeah. Then he went ahead to also say that he's going to be providing 3 million jobs, opportunities for Nigerians. Now, the big question is, looking at the 2 policy documents of the APC and the PDP, which of them do you think can heal the wounds of Nigerians? That's the question we're starting from this morning.
Thank you very much. I love this opportunity. Let's look at the 2 document policies of Alhaji Abubakar Atiku. and the President Muhammadu Buhari. He tagged that document of policy as next level.
That's the APC.
That is the APC,
yeah.
Next level. It now occurred to me that Mr. President, he has people around him who fail in their responsibility to give him feedback of the perception, how people feel about his administration. Psychopaths around him. Because I know that if Mr. President knows.
But I'll take exception to that.
No, I'm coming.
No, Bishop.
Wait.
Bishop, I won't let you.
Okay.
We have to give respect to personalities here. So please.
Okay, good. What I'm saying is,
can you take back that word?
Okay. The psychopaths.
Yeah, take it back.
Okay. People who are deceptive.
Okay.
Good. They don't tell him the truth.
Except if you say that is your own opinion.
Okay, that's my opinion now.
Okay.
Because I'm in Nigeria. I'm a patriotic for that matter. Because if people are giving him the correct answers from the grassroots, he will not say next level. Because if you are an incumbent, either you are a president, you are a governor, you are a senator, you should be able to tell us that you can see I have fixed your road. You can see I have given you good education. Our health sector is working. You can see the economy is bubbling. Everything is okay. Now, I want to take you to another level of prosperity. People will be happy. So, you now begin to see the people reaction. What kind of level again?
Can your own candidates, can he fix the economy of Nigeria?
What Nigeria lacks now is good managers of our resources. What Nigeria is missing is an economic leader. Okay? Alhaji Abubakar Atiku, just like the Donald Trump, has been able to successfully manage his own businesses. And today, he's a successful businessman.
Is that what you're basing your foundation on?
I'm coming.
But
no, please, I'm coming. When, you see, our people say, you know what that means? It is from the beginning you know a dog that will have a folded tail. A man who has been able to manage his own affair very well, provide job for so many thousands of Nigerians. When they take over the matter of leadership, and I tell you that every one of us will be happy.
But this same Atiku Abubakar was one-time vice president. Some people wonder, how did he fare?
My brother, you are in Nigeria. I know you are not from Libya. You are in this country. In as far as I'm concerned, the administration of Obasanjo, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and Atiku, to me, I don't know how you feel. The way I see, for now, the best administration I've ever seen since democracy. Do you know what I said? Because you discover that a lot of reform took place, including the form we are using now. Let me tell you something, that Alhaji Abubakar Atiku was not the president as at that time, was vice president. Okay? Now, when he take over the matter of leadership and become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, you will not see the prowess. Because in Nigeria, we need somebody who can manage our resources very well. You know why?
Okay,
let
me pause you.
Let me pause you.
Yeah, let me pause you.
For the people we have. Now, let me quickly, let me
Bishop, let me pause you because we have other guests on this program.
Thank you.
Now, viewers out there, the program is still this morning on ITV. Yes, we're looking at the topic one more time. So let's get to the nitty-gritty of this topic today. Now, Dr. Ekbu, you've heard the two discussants, the APC chieftain and, of course, the man from supporting the PDP, Bishop Akhalame. Now, how would you want to react to some of the issues that they raised?
Well, I'm not a moderator, and moreover, this exercise, I'm not sure it's a political debate. We are here to actually analyze what is on ground.
It can also be a political debate.
As I told you earlier, we have had all these issues. If you give politicians a point to talk, in the next 3 days, they can be talking. But what have been the aftermath of the previous promises? And let me remind you that all the promises we're talking about, policy document and all that, ought to emanate from ideology. Manifesto, whatever you call them, ought to emanate from ideology. Today, there is no single political party in Nigeria. You can say this is the ideology, this is what they stand for. So what they are telling us is what we want to hear, what Nigerians want to hear. That is what we are now calling policy document. What have been on ground? What have been done previously? That's what Nigerians questions that beg for answers.
Okay. Now, Mr. Higari, I'm sure you noticed some points that Bishop Bakalame raised earlier on, so you may want to react to them now.
Yeah, of course. Firstly, like the learned gentleman have said, you expect that politics stems from ideology. And I take exception, and I find it quite strange that if you belong to one political party, which means you people have your aims, your goals, your objectives, and it's easy for you to set that aside and embrace fully the doctrines of another political party while still belonging to your own political party, and shout Hosanna after the man who is carrying the cross of one party and one leg in the other party. That gives me a lot of credibility issue and kind of a disjointed ideology. Then you look at the man Atiku Abubakar, who is of course no stranger to us. He was given enormous responsibility in the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo in 1999 to 2007. And he left in a very strange way. While he was still in that party, just like my friend here, he was in a PDP government as an ACN chieftain, as an ACN candidate. He was elected as a vice president under the PDP. He wanted to stay in office as the vice president under the PDP in a joint ticket while running under another party at the same time. That tells you his personality. Then you want to ask me another question. How did this boss describe him at the end of the 8 years tenure? The book is there. He said in clear terms, in very uncomplimentary way, that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the most refined way I can put it is that it's a very dodgy personality. That was the character reference he gave to him. By the time you are done with working with ITV, you do need a testimonial to say, how did I fare while I was in office? Because Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's greatest political asset now is to say I was vice president for 8 years. And luckily he worked under a boss. So it's expected that your boss award marks for how you fared during that tenure. And the boss has come out to write for future generations to come that this man performed below par and he has got corrupt tendencies. Is there on paper?
Well, the issue of corruption
did not go to court. He did not go to court to challenge the content of the book.
Yeah, Mr. Higariba, the issue of corruption
silence means consent. That means he agrees.
Yeah, but that issue of corruption against Atiku Abubakar has remained an allegation.
No, can I tell you something? Yeah. There is defamation of character. If I allege against you and it does disagree with whom you are, if somebody has come out to say to the extent that you are a thief, that's what being corrupt means. And Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, with all that he knows, is unable to go to court to challenge the content of that book. He's been put down, written down for future generations to read that this was your boss' perception of you. So it's strange tomorrow that you are still going to that boss again for an endorsement. What do you want? What's the endorsement for? To endorse what he said about you? That is the selling point to Nigerians. Then you talk about, oh, we want economic prosperity. He had 8 years, all of 8 years to do that. He had all of 8 years. He was given the BPE. It was to do privatization. The same privatization he came up, that is coming up with, oh, we want to privatize the NNPC. We want to restructure. All of the things he's talking about, he's forgetting that majorly you need legislative input. How do you restructure without the National Assembly? You are planning ahead for the National Assembly. How do you restructure without the 2/3 majority of 36 states? You need all of that to pass through an amendment to restructure Nigeria. We've had conferences, we've had opportunities at the National Assembly to restructure. And of course, if the people are not buying into it, then they are not. Yeah, then when you talk about next level agenda, I think critically, we can talk from now till tomorrow. But what a politician is adjudged by is the result of elections. That's the primary thing that concerns politicians, because the more you talk, it's expected that if your message is resonating well with the people, you must be seen to be winning elections consequentially. And that's what the APC has been doing. In all of the elections that I've had thus far, the APC is winning, which means the people are going, yes. If you go to Ekiti, where we just took over the state from them, if you go to Osun, where we had, and if you go to even the man who is just switched party, the Senate president, has moved to PDP, he also lost his election there. If you go to Bauchi State, where Speaker Dugara is from, he lost the election there. So which means the people are not with them. Okay. So it's more than talk, because talk is cheap. Okay, now,
Bishop Bakalame, your own candidates, the PDP's candidates, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, so much pivots his campaign policy on restructuring Nigeria. Just like what he said, some people have said that restructuring Nigeria is purely a constitutional matter. It has to emanate from the National Assembly. It is not something that one person can initiate and achieve. You may want to talk on that.
Yes, before I talk on that, I want to quickly react to some issues that he raised. You see, I am concerned about the future of our country. When I wake up, I see graduates who are out of school, no jobs, and nobody is doing anything about it. It gives me worries. When I wake up in the morning and I want to watch the news, if I don't power my generator, I cannot watch the news. It gives me worries. When you look at our health sector, not just working, and those who are supposed to fix it, anytime they have headache, they travel out of the country, I am worried. When you look around the schools, that today ASU is on strike, that the MSc, that today they are on strike. They move for the, nothing is working. I am worried. So if I am in a party A and I see a candidate who can deliver, who can take us away from what we are facing today as a nation, why should I not train my weight behind such candidates? Because I am not doing it for myself. Because let me tell you something, before we belong to a political party, the first political party everybody must belong is Nigeria. If there is no Nigeria, there will be no need for APC, there will be no need for PDP, there will be no need for PDC. The best political party must belong first is to what? This country. If it is not working, then it's called for worries.
Okay, what about?
No. The issue is this. He talked about restructuring. He said something that before you can do that, you must have harmonious relationship with the National Assembly. But let me tell you something that the same administration we have today, the manager of our resources, they are not good manager of our politics. That's why you see that there is no good relationship. There is no good rapport between the executive and the National Assembly. Okay? This man, Alhaji Abubakar Atiku, is an experienced man. Even before now, he has been discussing restructuring this country. He wants to restructure this country economically, where governors cannot generate their IGR to rule the affair of their state, instead of going to Abuja every now and then, holding their feeding bottle like babies to get to feed their bottle before they can pay salaries, because they can fix roads, before they can fix what do you call them, street light for us. They get the material to make sure that they begin to think out of the box. Okay? Harness the resources, the potentialities within your state, so that everything will be working for us. Not only the state, not only the governors, but every one of us, because there will not be economic prosperity. My brother, what we are seeing in Nigeria now, let's be political parties. What we are seeing now, my brother, it comes from what I'm worried. Because Nigeria is blessed with so much natural resources. What is happening? People have no business with leadership. People have no business with political offices. They are now occupying political offices. And as a result, we are now immersed. That even smaller countries whose economy is not as big as Lagos State, they are now driving us. That our youth are now migrating in numbers out of the country because nothing is working. So, my brother, with what is happening now, the EDCs, the poverty, depression, agony, dwindling economic standard, dwindling educational standard, decay infrastructural development. My brother, I am a businessman as well. I travel every day. None of the federal road is motorable. If you tap a Toyota vehicle for you to Abuja, my brother, you will regret when you're back on the journey.
But Bishop Bakalame, some people blame the party that you support now, the PDP.
My brother, you and I know.
You hold on, Bishop.
No. I know where you are going.
Bishop, can I ask my question?
Thank you.
Now, some people say you people came into power in 1999. And of course, before Nigerians knew it, the next thing we saw was to make our economy a mono economy. All attention shifted. Before 1999, we knew some agriculture and all that, but immediately in 1999, it was all petroleum all throughout. So for some people, they are not too comfortable with that.
But I tell you something. Once you say, I can do this thing better, we expect you when you come, you do it better, give us results. Better than where you met it.
Are you saying that the PDP will do it better this time?
No, let me tell you something. I'm coming. You and I know that as at that time you're talking about, 1999, down to 2015. Oh my God. Nigeria was so sweet. There was money in circulation. Everybody was happy. You get me saying now? My brother, take a tour to so many of the universities now. I'm not talking from paper, the pages of the paper. I'm a practical man. My brother, go to some private universities now or anywhere. You will not say students.
Okay, let me pause you because I know you are itching to say something. Don't hold up, Bishop.
No, wait now. Wait now. They are busy recovering the money looted.
Okay, thank you.
We are not seeing the money.
Okay, now, let's look at the economy one more time, because for people that talk, that tend to talk against the next level campaign policy, next level campaign documents, for them, there's really no foundation. Now, they point at the recession that went into economy. Now, for them, for a very long time in the history of Nigeria, Nigeria has never known economic recession. And for these people, they are not still comfortable now, because to them, the economy is still struggling. Now, I wanted to take it up from there.
Firstly, you have to, my friend Bishop has been very quick to say he's a patriotic Nigerian. And of course, that collides very much with the ideology of his own principle. Because if you notice that a man gets nominated by his political party, and the first patriotic thing he did was to assemble a team and leave the Nigerian shores to Dubai for a month to go and spend dollars to rest.
All those allegations.
He was away for, they don't spend naira in Dubai. He was away for a month. No, there are no allegations. It's open knowledge. You cannot deny it. You don't spend naira in Dubai.
Of course.
No. You cannot exchange naira in Dubai. You must go with dollars.
Okay, your point is that he spends dollars.
And why was he out of the country for 1 month? Was that a first holiday when work just started? So that is his patriotic boss, if you will. But again, let's come back to what we're saying. Yesterday I arrived in
this is material. I
arrived
in
I'm talking, please. I'm talking. Let's have decorum.
It's okay.
Yesterday I arrived in Benin at about 9 p.m. through the Benin-Lagos road. I came in from Lagos, and there was nothing strange on our highways. Our highways, if anything has happened, has been in the era that PDP had sway. I was a former member of PDP. I knew what transpired at that time. We were blessed.
You are probably part of the fault.
I was part of the solution in my time that I spent there. I make bold to say my records are there at a local.
But you are quick to make reference to PDP. That
of
PDP.
Course,
so you are part of the fault.
Because I was unhappy, that's why I left. Because we had the opportunity, singular opportunity, of having 2 ministers of works from Edo State and 1 minister of state for works. And yet the road he's talking about is from Benin to Abuja. All of them left from Benin to Abuja. And they could not fix the road in 16 years. Edo State had 3 ministers of works. They could not fix the road he's talking about. Then he's blaming someone who's been in power for 3 years who needs to fix all of Nigeria. I'm just telling you, that coincidence has never happened in the history of Nigeria, that you have 3 ministers of works from one state. Okay. And they couldn't fix the road to where they work. Because they need to leave from Benin City to Abuja to go to work. Then you are blaming it on someone else? No, I think that's wrong. Then you are looking at, what do we have here now? What is continuity about? First and foremost, when you meet your house in disarray, before you start talking of painting, before you start talking of restructuring, you have to put the house in order. You need to stabilize. What this government basically has been doing is to stabilize and try to get Nigerians to believe again, because the PDP actually did a lot to the psyche of the average Nigerian out there. That
I'll
is the era
pause
he's
you
talking
there.
about, that money was flowing.
Gentlemen,
Money don't
I'll
flow in
pause
an
you there
economy.
because we really need to take a break now. And of course, on part 2, when we return after this break, we're going to be looking at some major concerns that Nigerians are having even as we prepare for this 2019 election.
TMI, every opinion counts.
All right, thank you one more time. So quickly, as we wrap up now, let's look at some concerns that I say that Nigerians are expressing towards the 2019 election. First and foremost, that INEC is yet to get the funds for the election. And secondly, how can we ensure that political parties and perhaps political candidates stay within the stipulated funds for elections in Nigeria as stipulated by the Electoral Act of 2010 as amended, that no presidential candidate should spend more than 1 billion naira for governorship? It should not be more than 200 million. And then for senatorial, it should not be more than 40 million. House of Reps, 20 million. And of course, the House of Assembly, 10 million. Gentlemen, let's quickly look at these concerns. I'll start with Bishop Akalame. One minute because of time. We're really pressed on time. Bishop.
Well, that issue of the fund is what I'm not too comfortable with, because vote in Nigeria has become a product that those who are not performing in office feel that instead of me delivering the dividend of democracy to the people, it's going to keep the money. When the election comes, then I'll begin to share the money to the people so that I can get a vote. My concern is that INEC have to wake up with their responsibility to ensure that those who are into this crime, I call it crime, because when a politician has what to put on the table, you have you've done very well as an Ikobe too. You don't need to take your money to people and bribe them to get their vote. And I equally want to tell the electorate that we need to be very disciplined this period, very disciplined. Because these people have created this hunger that they know that if they throw one time at you, you collect and give them that vote. The INEC should make sure that the voting should not be made open. Yes, take your ballot paper, go in there. Nobody will know who you are voting for. So that for once, we can have a better country with good leadership. So that Nigeria will become the giant of Africa we are talking about.
Okay, now, Gariba, are you sure this administration, the APC's administration, are they really ready for this election? I mean, INEC is yet to get a funding, just less than 90 days away.
Well, that is not an APC responsibility per se. INEC is an independent body, and
I know.
I think their resources come as a first-line charge from the central bank. It's for the funds to be approved by the Senate. And of course, it gets the presidential assent.
The fund has been approved since. So
obviously, the funds will be sourced, because there was some discrepancy, if you remember, as to the issue of sourcing for the funds itself, where the president made an overture to the National Assembly to the extent that they should, sacrifice some of the funds that they've earmarked for certain constituency project, like an oversight project, as this was of greater importance to the country. I think that is some of the gray areas they are still trying to iron out. But however, there is a critical point I even need to raise, because I was wondering, I had the opportunity to observe the U.S. elections, and I asked myself, if INEC is saying we are indeed biometric, which means if I have a PVC, I can't actually vote twice, then you still have to wonder why they have to spend so much money to procure inks and mark our fingers with them. Yeah. So that should be taken off the table. If you say I can't vote twice, then you don't need to. All right.
Thank you so much because of time. Now, Professor, Doctor, please, quickly.
I want to react to the issue of spending. Section 86 of Electoral Act 2010 enjoins the INEC to monitor the activities of political parties, including the spending pattern. So for the electorate, as I said before, if you collect money for any politician to vote against your conscience, they have paid you upfront. Whatever you are going to encounter, you cannot be here to be complaining. Because a man who killed his father and mother cannot go to court to plead for leniency on the ground that he is an orphan.
Okay. All right, gentlemen. The dice has been cast, and of course, election, campaigns, activities have started. Less than 90 days, the election campaign windows, so to say, has been opened for our political parties and, of course, politicians to go on their campaign. At the end of this exercise, at the end of the election next year, we're going to have only one president that will emerge, one vice president, and, of course, 109 senators, 360 members of the Federal House of Representatives are going to emerge. Well, gentlemen, because of time, I know we really have so much to say, but subsequently we're going to make sure that these discussions continue on our programs on television and on radio. A very big thank you to Bishop Akalame, and a big one for your new responsibility. And also, Mr. Higariwa, thank you so much. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.